holding on to something that you like might get in the way of attaining what you really need. I'm Jeff Jower.
And I'm Rick Levine for Planet Pulse on this Monday, April 28th, where the moon moves into Taurus. This morning at 10:23 a.m. Eastern Time in the United States, the sun is in Taurus. We're coming to a new moon that's not until later tonight, but that new moon is an eclipse, and eclipses often have to do with change, and yet Taurus has to do with holding on to the status quo.
Yeah, Taurus is like going to a bank that takes deposits but never lends any money out. It's the desire to just hold on to things, but we have two very important reasons to let go. One, as you pointed out, Rick, we're heading towards a solar eclipse. It's actually here on the west coast of the U.S. It's in the last half hour of the day. It's very early morning on the east coast of the U.S.
2:14 a.m. on the east coast, which means
Tomorrow morning.
11:14 tonight.
Yeah, right.
On Seattle or west coast.
So thank you for being precise about it. But so eclipses are about letting go, but we're also in the dark of the moon. And the dark of the moon is also a period of time in which we're supposed to let things rise to the surface in recognition of what we need to let go.
Well, yeah, what's interesting to me in all of this is that we have Mercury, the planet of intellect, Mercury, the planet of how we think, which just a few days ago lined up with the sun. This is a communication period of time. Even the eclipse tonight or tomorrow morning is close enough to Mercury to matter. And yet Mercury today forms an oil and water quincunx with Mars. And it's almost like we can't use diplomacy. We can't talk our way out of the problem that we're having. Mars is in Libra. This is about relationships. Mercury wants to hold on, in Taurus, wants to hold on to the status quo also. And so there's this sense that normally communication is the way to get through situations here. And I don't think that necessarily gets us through.
Yeah, but it makes me think of that idea of a good negotiation in which neither party is fully satisfied. I agree with you, Rick, that I don't think we can talk our way through the issues that we're facing.
And I wasn't saying that means we shouldn't talk at all.
Exactly, which is my point, that the north node of the moon, a point of growth or integration, is in Libra, the same sign Mars is in. And it reminds me of the old discussions in the Vietnam War days where they were discussing the shape of the table. Now that seems a long way from a resolution of the issues and certainly can seem like a distraction, which it may have been then. But this may be one of the times in our own lives, in our negotiations with ourselves or with others, in which we're discussing the shape of the conversation before we can have it.
I think, though, I'm going to come back to the whole thing about communication here, because the moon moves into Taurus, and Taurus isn't necessarily about communication. Taurus is a sign of Venus. Venus is more about what we sense and what we feel, and it's about, when it's feel through our senses. And later tonight, Venus makes a magical quintile with Pluto. Pluto being one of the problem planets in this whole...
But the saving grace, perhaps.
That's what I'm saying. And so I'm coming back to, yes, we should communicate. Communication is important, but I think ultimately the breakthrough here has something to do with the internal dynamics of what we want, Venus, of what we like.
And the hierarchies getting clearer, because we get addicted to things we think we want that we don't even want anymore.
Yeah, and so I think here that a lot of what's going on, especially coming into the eclipse, and I think you've said this a couple of times already in previous days, and it's about choosing what's important enough to hold on to and letting the rest go, or maybe even pushing it away and allowing ourselves to take that leap into what's around the corner that we still don't quite know yet what it is. I'm Rick Levine.
And I'm Jeff Jower, inviting you to join Rick and me here for Cosmic Wisdom every day on Planet Pulse.